I think I'd get away with that. Let me take another quick peek at it. You're not too far off though, but see the problem is I've covered your grid on my painting.
I still have it on here.
All right, how come you stop it here? I've got so much paint on there and I think I'll probably wearing you guys out. Any questions about what you've seen? I know it's a lot of information without talking about it, but
I have a question, Ronald.
Yeah.
You know, you're always talking about, basically, you can only teach us 10 things.
yeah. No, I'm saying basically the same 10 or 12
Yeah,
things.
that's what I'm.
But you're only gonna retain, what I get at, is no matter what I say and what I show you, you're only gonna retain about 10% of it that day.
So I'm wondering, what 10% would you tell us in regards to what you're doing?
You just have to
tonight?
take it in, absorb it, and just don't fight it too much. These things will start coming out. It'll leach out of you as you paint more and more.
Okay.
And I know that from experience because my teacher never said a word to me.
Wow.
Not one word. I watched him paint, took it in, tried to copy it, did all this stuff, and his words have been coming to me ever since. He never said a word. And I look at this stuff, it's like, oh, and I remember a painting he was working on when he did that, and I remember this, and I remember that, and those are things that you just can't put into words. You have to see it, then you have to paint up to the information that you think that you learned, and this is where you have to be a really good student, because you have to say, okay, it's like going to the museum. You go to the museum, and if you look at 100 paintings, you might as well call it a day. I go to the museum, even when I went to the Louvre, I looked at maybe 20 paintings in the Louvre. And it's because if I'd seen 150, I wouldn't have gotten out of what I needed. So you need to say, okay, what am I struggling with right now? This is happening with Brandon, I think, because right now, it's like he's thinking about paint application, how do you put one color against another color over that without losing the colors you already had on there. So those are things that he probably should be looking at. You know, it could be color, it could be paint application. And I think that's basically the two things you're getting out of it right now is color and paint application and how to start the painting. And so you need to go, okay, why does my painting look like that? Why does this painting look like this? And to say, okay, this is what I need to study. Because if I were talking to most of the people in the room, most everyone's issue besides drawing is they start the painting wrong because they don't get it diverse enough early enough, color-wise. And you weren't too far with that. Your colors were pretty crazy out there, so you did a lot of stuff. You just need to know how, after you have these crazy colors, how do you use those to your advantage?
Right.
And then bring them in.
Right.
I'd rather have it be crazy colors. The problem that you had is you butt them up against each other. So you had the crazy colors, but you've got to fold them together a little bit more,
Right.
and then realize, well, I got to tone it down. But it's easier to tone it down than it is to bring the colors in later.
Okay. Good to know.
I mean, my colors are pretty crazy when I started tonight, and some of them are still off, but they're better. And you have to understand this isn't going to be finished painting tonight.
Right.
But that's my problem, is getting that wildest beginning.
I
It's
know.
so counterintuitive to me.
Well, it is. The thing is, everyone thinks that they're exaggerating the colors early on. And I did the same
I
thing.
don't have the
And you'd be
most-
amazed at how wussy we are for a long time. It really is so difficult to be out there and be gutsy enough and then put enough paint, not too much, not too little. And this is where you have to feel, you have to have the experience to see how much paint is right for you to be able to work on your painting. It's like I knew tonight how much paint I could put on it, because I knew the time frame that I'm gonna work on it. I also knew how I wanted to leave it, so that I'm set up for next week. And so those are all things that I'm thinking about as I'm painting. And that's the reason why you can't paint by formula, because every painting has its own set of problems. Whether it's how much time you have to spend on it, and whatever, or it could be any number of things. And every painting I sit down in front of, it's a brand new, reasonably brand new experience for me. I never go, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, like I always do. So I never do that. And then, of course, with the colors, I know John was sitting right there, and you could see, I took all my colors, and once in a while I'd be working the forehead or something. Now I take my brush and go through every single color that was laid out on my palette. You know, these pools of color, and then get a pool of paint, because I needed more paint, and then I just added more paint to change the color to what I wanted it. But this is where you can use your palette so that you're not wasting your paint. And even when I was doing the background, first thing I did is scrape up all the paint on my palette and put it in a big blob, and it's like, well, that's the wrong color, and so I started tweaking it until I got the color that I wanted. And see, I'm doing all that stuff quick because I'm not so crazy about it. This is where Doreen's struggling hard, because she'll sit there and she'll fight the color and fight the color and fight the color, and you know, just do it, put it on there, and then once you put it up there, then you go, oh, it's too light, too dark, too warm, too cold. But she tries to get it right every time, and then she tries to remember what she did, and that's slowing her up and frustrating her. So once you know, because my colors in his forehead when I came in were crazy colors. I mean, I used almost pure manganese blue in some areas, and there was some violet color in there. I don't know where I was thinking when I did that, but I didn't care. I just knew I wanted cooler colors up there as we get away from this part of his face. The other thing too is I'm not a slave to the drawing. When I paint his nostril, sometimes I paint the cheek into it, sometimes I paint the nostril back out, and eventually going back and forth like that will make it so that that's not a hard line. That's what you were doing. You drew that line. But if you look at people's faces, some of them are more pronounced, but they're never really a line. So, anyway, hopefully it helps. Again, I know it's frustrating. It's a lot of information, and this thing still looks like crap to me, but it looks less like crap tonight than it did when I started, and that's all I care about.